It's always something to be pissed off about, right? Maybe it's this 95-degree weather that I'm having here in Connecticut. Maybe it's the fact that where I've moved to has this beautiful clubhouse and working environment, and yet people like to sit in it and gab and never shut up. So it's hard to get any work done. Or maybe it's Nebraska fans saying, we should have fired Bo Pelini. No, 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 you shouldn't have. And where does this come from? This comes from something I put up the other day. Five coaches who should have never been fired. You know, flies. Flies really piss me off. You gotta be kidding me. How's a fly getting here? Gee. I put up the other day five coaches who should never been fired, right? Mac Brown was one of them. He was forced out, but he was fired. Texas hasn't been the same since. Stupid fly. This is going to be fun. All broadcast. Who the hell was number two? I can't remember number two. The number one was Bo Pelini at Nebraska. That was a mistake. And, you know, people say, no, Frank Solich should have been on there. Yeah, that was a mistake, certainly. You know, Solich was tasked with following Tom Osborne and winning national titles, and he had good record. And he was forced out too soon, and Bill Callahan turned out to be a disaster. Yada yada yada, on and on. But after they realized Callahan was a disaster, they reset. They hired Bo Pelini. He was a very angry, angry man. Really not a good person from every experience that I had with him, which was very, very limited. And you know, perhaps an embarrassment to the university the way he handled himself, but also a guy that won 9 games every season minimum and won 10 games a couple times and almost should have won the Big 12 title when they lost to Texas when they were robbed. Um, the guy can coach. The guy could coach. They were getting what? They were getting 9 or 10 wins every season, but no, not good enough. We're Nebraska. We want more. No, that's not good enough. We want national titles. Let's fire this guy, you know, and let's hire Mike Riley. He's going to be a great coach. Oops, that didn't work out. Now they got Scott Frost. That didn't work out. You know, but Nebraska fans will to this day insist Pelini wasn't the right guy. Look at the fact that he went from Nebraska to Youngstown State. Nobody else wanted him. Yeah, nobody else wanted him because he was a jerk and he was hard to deal with. But he won football games, and I can guarantee you this: team went 3-9 last year. You'd be happier if you went 9-3. You'd be happier if you played for the Big Ten West. You'd be happier if you were in the Big Ten winning 10-9 games with bad Bo. So I don't want to hear that stuff. Yes, Frank Solich should have not fired him, but you reset. You hired a good coach, a guy who won football games, and you fired him too. And now the program's a disaster. So let's not say that it was the right move to get rid of Pelini and it was embarrassing. Let's just not. Who the heck was number two? Why can't I remember? This should be easy. Oh, Philip Fulmer was number two. Now, you know, some Tennessee fans are saying, yeah, it was time for him to go. No, 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 wasn't. He's been a disaster ever since. He had a couple down years. It wasn't like he went, you know, I don't know, 3-8. He had a couple down years, but he won you a national title and you were also competitive in the SEC every year. And then you got rid of him. And now things are not good. I mean, Josh Heupel looks like he's a good coach. There are positive signs, but there were positive signs with Butch Jones, positive signs with Jeremy Pruitt here and there. So who knows? Maybe he's the guy. But since then, you've had a lot of embarrassment, and Philip Fulmer, who is now, you know, obviously a muckety muck at Tennessee, probably still resents a little bit of being pushed out. Mac Brown, pushed out, needed a culture change. Well, brought in Charlie Strong. That sucked. Tom Herman. That sucked. Even though he's the only one who had 10 wins since Mac Brown. Now you got Sark. That didn't go well first season. Mac Brown is at North Carolina. Been up and down, but he's still coaching, and he's still a good coach. Shouldn't never got rid of him. And then, you know, a guy I didn't include on there, and I should have. Mark Mangino at Kansas. I'm angry at you, Kansas. 2007 was arguably the most fun college football season ever, at least since I've been alive. So many ups and downs. And when you look back at 2007, you see Kansas. You see they went to the Orange Bowl and won the Orange Bowl. Kansas. And then, Mangino, another one. He didn't get along with people, not a nice guy. Let's get rid of him. They didn't get rid of him right after, but they got rid of him soon enough. And Ralph Friedgen at Maryland. He was the ACC Coach of the Year, and they fired him. Is there something against fat guys? But neither of those guys should have been fired. And the programs that are suffering as a result of it, I guess, deserve it. You be careful. Be very careful what you wish for. You're not going to be. It's very rare for a program to go from a 9-10 win guy to a 12-0 national champ guy. That doesn't happen. Usually, when you see guys taking over, and maybe Dabo Swinney could be the exception to that rule, but Clemsoning was Clemsoning. Not Clemson was Clemsoning. Not Clemsoning was Clemsoning. Before, they were blowing games they shouldn't have lost. But Nick Saban, he took over a mess. Urban Meyer took over for Ron Zook. He didn't really take over a mess at Ohio State, but they weren't as good as they were prior to Urban Meyer showing up. You look at these national title coaches. FSU wasn't in great shape when Jimbo took it over. They weren't bad, but they weren't in great shape. But also some of these guys that have won national titles end up wearing out their welcome. And, like Jimbo left Florida State in a shambles. So, a good hire can turn into a bad hire. I get that. Maybe Bo Pelini would have punched somebody on the sidelines. Maybe he would have kicked somebody's dog. Maybe he would have said something stupid at a press conference and embarrassed the university. But winning is more important than any of that stuff sometimes to me. And that's why, guys that don't get along with the administration and win, just deal with them. That's just the way it is. My tight end list also pisses me off, because Michael Mayer, he's number 2, he should be number 1, he's the best tight end ever. Listen, it was a toss-up between Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, but Brock Bowers is younger. Brock Bowers had a tremendous season. He's more of a threat to score touchdowns. He's more of a catch and run receiving threat. He could play wide receiver. He could play running back. Brock Bowers is the best tight end. So Notre Dame fans, you can get all upset. You can get your boxers in a bunch if you want to, but he's number 2. Number 2 is not bad. And then people, getting ticked off where I put up the Eric All versus Michael Mayer. I already talked about that. Just deal with it. It's a good comparison. And you're going to find out it's a good comparison when Eric All is better. Doing my O-line list, that's going to come out soon. That'll be ripped apart. Wide receiver list got ripped apart as well. The world pisses me off. Can I talk about that? So listen, there may be a polarizing opinion here. I'm a football guy, not a basketball guy. But people continue to love to hate on LeBron James. Just hate on him for everything he does. The latest example is, the slander of America and the Brittany Griner discussion and blah, blah, blah. LeBron James came into prominence as a high school basketball player. He was never involved in a scandal. Never. He's been great to everybody and everything. Yeah, Cleveland got upset that he left. And he won national, he won NBA titles with other, superstars. They came back to Cleveland and single-handedly won them a title. He appears by all accounts to be a good person, a good friend, a good father. He's not a jerk, and he has every excuse on earth to be a jerk. Every excuse to be everything you would expect from somebody who's given millions and so much attention so early in his life, and yet there's still people who hate on him. And this comes from a guy who hates on people. I hate on everybody all the time, but I never understood the LeBron James slander. And maybe someone can educate me who watches this, because I don't know a lot about basketball. But I expect young prodigies, sports prodigies, who are given that much attention, that much money early to screw up in some way. And maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm focusing on, the negatives of the Antonio Browns of the world who become famous and then turn into like lunatics. And maybe there's something else there with Antonio Brown, CTE, Vontaze Perfect. I mean, all that it plays into it, you know. But you can't get you're not. There's just no bigger star than LeBron James. And I love Tiger Woods, right? I root for Tiger Woods. I used to root against Tiger Woods because he was great. He was so good, and I just wanted someone else to win. And he ran into scandal with his wife, and all of that good stuff. And now he's an older, wiser Tiger Woods, and I root for him. And it was sad to see him not play his best at the Open, But the only really athlete that I can compare LeBron James to, who had that much attention that early as the best in his sport, without a doubt, is Tiger Woods and LeBron James. I mean, and LeBron has handled himself gracefully in every way, shape, or form. Yeah, he flops, sure. He complains, he whines on the court, yeah. But he's a good role model. So I don't understand why everybody hates on him. And maybe someone can explain that to me. Um, Someone else came up in my head too when I was about to talk about that, and I can't remember because it did piss me off. It hit my head and pissed me off, like this fly is doing. And now I've lost. Oh, this is what pisses me off. Okay, I have respect for LeBron. He's great, but those people that say LeBron's better than Michael Jordan, come on. I saw something the other day. Oh, Dominique Foxworth pissed me off. He said that Kevin Durant would school or something similar. I'm misquoting Larry Bird as a small forward. No, 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 no. No. And I think I already talked about this, but recently somebody said that the the competition that LeBron's playing in summer league right now is about what Michael Jordan faced every year of his NBA career, and I wanted to throw my phone. Michael Jordan's better than LeBron James. That's just the way it is. This isn't oldism. This isn't me being stubborn. Listen, I grew up with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I would love to say one of those two is the best ever. I was not a Bulls fan. I didn't like Michael Jordan winning title after title, uh, but he's the best. He didn't have to, construct a team to do it. LeBron would have done it in Cleveland. We saw that, but he wouldn't have done it 7 times. Um, so those people saying Michael Jordan's better, no, they're morons. I can't remember what else I was ticked off about. There was something else, but I feel this is cathartic for me because I get to talk into my little camera here and talk about what ticks me off and pisses me off. Social media pisses me off. I mean, somebody DM'd me last week to choke on a peanut. Somebody yesterday DM'd me and said they hope I choke on a particular sex toy. I mean, do you have time for this? Really? You have time to like find my profile, hit the little envelope button or whatever it is, type that and send it to me? You really have time for that? I mean, it's funny to me. It's kind of funny. I mean, I would love to screen grab it and put it out there, but I don't like doing that. I don't think that's right. Um, but man, people get really, really angry. This was, I believe, a Texas fan, and USC fans have been pretty bad as well with the Caleb Williams thing. And then when I say Malachi Nelson's rated too low on other sites, oh, I got him. I hit him at least. Then they're like, oh, yeah, yeah, Farrell knows what he's talking about. Malachi Nelson, #1 in the country. He's awesome. But Farrell's such a jerk when it comes to Caleb Williams, you know. So we like what he likes us, we hate when he hates us. That's annoying. That's life. But to choke on it rhymes with Fildo, come on. That's a little much. Funny, but a little much. I'm going to end this one here. And this is also what happens when I finish this. By the way, the backdrop's pretty cool. This room is pretty cool. 3 people have walked by this room. This is like the only office area. And they've all been pissed that I've been in here hogging it. And I don't care. I pay a lot to be here. Um, What was I saying? Oh, as soon as I stop this, there's gonna be 5 other things I think of that piss me off. And the heat is gonna be one of them. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's gonna be 97 tomorrow, Wednesday, here in Connecticut. That's unlivable. And I know people in South Texas and Arizona are like, you don't even know what heat is. I do. 97 is pretty hot, and with humidity up in the 60s, it's hot. It's not hot like Florida. It's not hot like Hoover, Alabama, which was the hottest I've ever been in my life at a 7-on-7 tournament. Unbelievable. Um, it's not even hot like Virginia. Certainly not like South Texas. Certainly not like Arizona. Certainly not like Vegas. But it's freaking hot. So hot is hot. 97 is still hot up here in Connecticut compared to 97 in South Texas. It's hot. Ours is a humid heat. Yours is a dry heat. It's hot and it's wet and it sucks. But I'll come up with 5 other things in my head that I'm pissed off about after I hang up. Watch.